y'all, it's Heather, and I'm so excited because I have 20 eyeshadow tutorials to share with y'all. These are looks I've been creating over the past couple of months, and if you know me, you know that I love eyeshadows. I'm obsessed. I'm excited. Let's jump into it. First up, we're going to create a look with the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes, the Neutrals palette. This is going to be an everyday smoky look. It's going to be all matte shadows, no sparkle anywhere. I really want to do like a 90s inspired but 2024 everyday look. So this is going to be great eyeshadows, very cool tones. I have to say the formula in this palette blends so gorgeously. I'm using brushes from my Sigma favorite set. We're doing dark on the outer part of the eye, bright on the inner part, so I'm using these very light shades to highlight, and then this is our complete look. I just added a little bit of liner to the waterline and some mascara, and this is it. I kind of love it. Next up, I'm jumping into the Nomad Air collection. We're going to start with Abu Dhabi. This is a warm palette inspired by desert sands and sunsets, so we'll call this look a sandy sunset look. I think that'll be fun. Super warm brown shades. I'm gonna do a little bit of a spotlight eye, so I'm bringing these matte shades kind of all on the outside and inner part of my eye, but I'm gonna keep the center of my lid open to put this beautiful metallic shade. Here's our warm look with a long lash and black eyeliner. Nomad says this is a palette inspired by Norway's capital city, so we're going to create something cool toned and dramatic today. Of course, I have my eyes primed with my Sigma Ignite eyeshadow primer, and I'm going to start with the deepest color in this palette. I'm putting this all in my socket. I'm putting it on the lid in the outer corner, and I'm bringing it around to the lower lash line because I want this look to be deep. Then I'm going to go in with the lighter matte shades, and I'm slowly going to use these just to buff and blend out. I'm using What's Up Beauty brushes. I'm going to put the silver all over the lid. I'm bringing it up higher than my lid, and I'm going to highlight the inner corner. So even though the look is dark, we're still going to have a little bit of brightness and keep our eyes open. But here's our dark dramatic look with the lash. For look 4, I'm going to use the Nomad Air Canadian Rockies palette. This is cool tone greens, a little bit of green blue type of shade. I'm going to use my Blinged brushes. I'm putting this shade just very lightly all over my primer, and I'm going to use this metallic-y green shade on the lid. This look is going to be super simple and not complex at all. We want to leave that matte outer corner and just keep the shimmer shades kind of on the lower lash line on the lid. I'm even going to highlight the inner corner with a matte shade, and I just threw on some mascara, but I really like this look. Simple but colorful. This is the Ensley Rain Flower Moon palette. I'm going to create a sunflower fairy inspired look, and I'm doing things a little backwards. I'm putting on my shimmer sparkle shadow first, and then I'm going to blend with a matte because I really want to disperse that sparkle. I'm using my BK Beauty brushes, so they're kind of smaller. I don't want anything to get out of hand. I'm using a shimmer metallic on the lower lash line, but I want to pop this yellow metallic on the inner corner. I'm going to complete the look with some brown mascara, and I just felt like summer here. We're going to use Flower Moon again to create another soft look. This one isn't going to be quite as diffused as the last one. We're going to start with our pink matte. This is a brush from my Sigma favorite set. That's what I'm going to be using for this look. I did prime with Persuade, and I'm just going to blend that pinky matte shade all around the socket, the outer corner, the lower lash line, same shade, so it looks very seamless and blended. And then I'm going to go in with this beautiful shifty sparkly purple color. I want to keep this on the lid. I did pick up the shadow on my brush, and then I sprayed my brush with a little setting spray. You never want to put a wet brush into your shadow, so always spray after. A little bit of this pinky purple shade on the inner corner, mascara, a little color in the waterline, and that's it for this simple pink flower look. ColourPop Precious Metals has got to be one of the prettiest neutral palettes they have done lately. I really like the mix of warm and cool tones, and that we have some really beautiful intense shades and light shades. I'm using my What's Up Beauty brushes to apply these shadows for this look. This is going to be a copper bronze halo eye. I'm putting the deeper shades on the inner part of my lid and on the outer part of my lid to kind of leave room for that shade to be a spotlight in the center. I'm just pressing, packing, blending putting it on the lower lash line too because I really want this look to wrap around and give spotlight to this beautiful orange copper shade. How intense is that? It literally looks wet on the lid and I could not be happier. We're going to put a little light shade on the inner corner for some brightness. I'm going to do black eyeliner and a lash so that we can keep this look kind of dramatic, and oh, I felt amazing. We're creating look 8 with the same ColourPop palette. I'm going to put this shade all in my socket above, below, bringing it out. I want to let this kind of open my eyes up. I'm going to take the lighter shadow on this flimsy brush. This is another look with my Sigma Favorites set. I'm just buffing and blending that color out, making sure I have no harsh lines. And then I'm going to mix these two charcoal shades to give myself a dramatic lower lash line, even on the outer corner just a bit. But I'm going to take this Jelly Much shadow. I love this formula from ColourPop. It looks so cool. Just start out with a little bit of product and then build as you need because these are intense and a little goes a long way. I'm going to, of course, highlight my inner corner. I added a wispy lash and some eyeliner, and I felt so beautiful in this eye look. I love it. Moving on from there, we're going to use Fantasy Cosmetica Cradled in Ice collection. We're going to use the palette for this look. I'm using the brushes that also launched in this collection, and I'm going to take this blurple type of shade and put it right on the inner part of my socket, bringing it in pretty far. And then I'm going to kind of wing out my shadow with this deeper blue purple shade. We're going to call this look Obsessed because my husband and son were like complimenting me all day. I wore this. They were so sweet. They were like over the top with the compliments, and I appreciated it because this look was a lot of fun and something a little different. I'm packing that shimmery shade on the center of the lid so we kind of have 3 shades and then a deeper shimmer on the inner corner. Of course, we're going to use this single shadow from the collection to highlight the inner corner. It has a beautiful shift, a little bit of a flared out lash, and this is look 9. We're using the Fantasy Cosmetica palette again for this look, but the pinky purpley mauve shades. I'm using this brush from the collection to put that shade all in the socket, this brush to deepen up the outer corner with that plummy shade and the lower lash line. But this shimmery, sparkly, shifty shade is going to go all over the lid. I did spray my brush after I picked up the shadow. I'm using a matte to highlight the inner corner. I feel like this is a day or night look, and it was super simple to create. I absolutely love Oden's eyeshadows, and for looks 11 and 12, we're going to use their single shadows from their Jewel Shine collection. These are absolutely incredible shadows. The performance is so good. Just everything about these I love. I'm starting with an eyeshadow primer that's very close to my skin tone, and I'm using this beautiful mid-tone earthy green on a BK Beauty brush. I'm just going to take my time. I love green eyeshadow. It's my favorite color. So I'm taking my time creating something very blended and fun. This is a very earth fairy type of look. I love the greens and the browns together. It's just super like nature inspired, and I'm always here for it. I'm putting that deeper green on the outer corner on the lid, just kind of blending it around, and then using this lighter kind of peachy light nude shade to blend things out. Again, I'm just using my BK Beauty brushes. I love this brush in particular for picking up shimmer shadows. This single is named Matthew, but I will put the names of the singles down in the description box. So definitely check there if you're curious, because this is a singles collection. They're just arranged in a magnetic palette, but here is my Earth Fairy look. I was feeling myself that day. Now we're going to create something very different. This is going to be maybe like a pink sky fairy look, whereas the other was very green and grounded. This is going to be brighter, more ethereal, kind of like sunset clouds, cotton candy. I don't know. That's just what it makes me think of. I'm putting these shimmers on the lid on the inner corner. The mix of pink and purples I love. I'm using my Blinged brushes, and I'm just going to add on a little bit of mascara and a pink lip. Super simple. You already know I love green shadow, so we're going to stick with Oden's Eye, and I'm dipping into the Stone and Rock. This is one of my favorite looks that I've created this year, honestly, and this palette launched last year. It's not even a new palette. I just love it that much. That bright green is going to really pop against this deeper, darker shade that I'm putting on right in the outer corner. I'm using my Natasha Denona liner to give me a pop on the waterline, and then I'm going to buff it out with the shadow from this palette. I'm all about mixing and maxing shades, so I dipped into the white, I dipped into that kind of moss green olivey shade, and then I'm going to go in with this multi-chrome. It's so beautiful, y'all. A super sparkly inner corner. Using my Blinged brushes, this was my finished look, one of my favorites. Sigma Beauty Cool Neutrals. One of the reasons I love this palette is because it is cool tones, not just gray. They played around with cool neutrals and I love it. Starting off for this look, I of course have my eyes primed with Ignite, and I'm going to use the brush that comes in this palette and only that brush. I'm just going to clean it off in between the shades with my Sigma switch. I'm meeting the shimmer shade up with the matte, letting that be the focus on the upper lid, taking this matte shade on the lower lash line, putting that same shade on the lid on the inner corner, a little bit of mascara, and that's it. Super simple, but I really liked this look. I felt super pretty in it, but we're going to do something more dramatic for this look, look number 15. I'm going to blend this neutral shade all on my socket. You can see it's a very cool brown shade. I'm taking this deeper, cooler brown shade and I'm putting it on the outer corner, a little bit under the lower lash line. We're going to pick up this beautiful, intense, deep silver shade on the center, adding a little bit of this cooler mauvey purple to the inner part of the lid, buffing another matte on the lower lash line, a shimmer on the inner corner, again using some Sigma brushes, and this is our look. I felt like it was dramatic but glam, and I loved it. We're jumping back into color with Melt Smoke Sessions 2. This palette launched from them this year as a part of their Smoke Sessions collection, and I love the purpley tones. This is going to be a purple, purple, purple look. I'm using my Bling brushes to kind of create a deeper outer corner with the lighter shades on the inside, all in my socket, deepening up the lower lash line, putting the shimmer all over the lid using my BK Beauty brushes. I'm grabbing a face highlight shade to pop on the inner corner because this palette is overall pretty deep, but I love the way my look came out. We're gonna do something with these beautiful shimmer shades for this look, look 17, another purple Smoke Sessions look. I'm using my Singe Beauty brushes, and I'm putting that shimmer shade all on the inner part. Then I'm taking the deeper shade in the outer corner, blending to make sure there's nothing that is super harsh. I'm going to use a liner from the collection to put in my lower waterline, another face highlight shade for my inner corner, mascara, and a half lash, and this is my purple melt look. GlamLite and Ghostface, one of my favorite brands, collabed with one of my favorite movies. We're gonna obviously create a cool toned look with this palette because this palette has cool tones, lots of grays with different undertones. I'm gonna start with this kind of concrete color, just putting it right on top of my eyeshadow primer, and I'm using What's Up Beauty brushes. I'm gonna take this more taupey brown gray in the outer corner, and then this shimmer shade, you can see it has a green tone to it, but it's also still in that silvery gray family. It's one of the reasons I love this palette so much, is because the undertones are just so unique while still being true to the collab. You know, I'm gonna highlight the inner corner, and I felt great in this look. It was kind of different for me, but it leans kind of green on a gray scale. We're going to jump into the Blend Bunny Ellis Atlantis palette. This is a massive rainbow palette, and I want to do something pinky peach. More so peach leaning, so I'm going to start with this shade. I'm pressing it on with a Sigma brush. Once I have it pressed off my brush, then I will go and blend. But since these are such bright shades, I really want to press the pigment on to make sure I'm getting that vibrancy. If you really want these to pop, you can layer it over a white eyeshadow primer, but I'm just using my tried and true Sigma today. I'm going to put this sparkly shade all over the lid, then I'm going to buff down on the lower lash line to intensify things, white sparkle on the inner corner, and this is look 19 with just a little bit of liner and a half lash. This look I love. Yellow and green, so beautiful together. I'm buffing these shades in with my Sigma brushes on top of my Sigma primer. I'm using that really dirty green color up there in the top to kind of give myself some color on the outer portion of my eye. We're going with green, yellow swamp shade on the lid. I don't know why it's so swampy and beautiful, but I'm grabbing these cooler tone browns to give my look like a little bit of grounding on the lower lash line. It kind of like gives that earthy vibe and ties things together a little bit. Some shimmer on the inner corner is the only shimmer we're going to use for this look. And then our work is done and we can appreciate this swamp queen goodness type of look. I absolutely loved creating all of these looks. I am somebody who loves eyeshadows. I just think it's so fun to play, create, express myself, and just have a little me time playing with makeup. I have so many tutorials here on my channel, not just with eyeshadow, but complexion, really everything. I just love makeup. So check out some of these videos if you want to stick around and talk about makeup.